G'day guys, Daikaiju Down Under here. In today's video, we will be taking a look at the SH Monster Arts 1993 Mechagodzilla. In addition to that, we're also going to take a look at the companion piece for that figure, the SH Monster Arts Garuda. Let's talk about it. Alrighty guys, so as I just mentioned before, this figure here is the second release in the SH Monster Arts line, and it's actually the third SH Monster Arts figure I ever got in my collection. So I'm really excited to talk about it. As you can see, Mechagodzilla spinning around on the turntable here. You can see the figure looks really nice. I've got him in a little bit of a dynamic sort of pose there. We'll talk about the detail, we'll talk about the articulation. I wanted to get the box out, but yeah, that's not happening. So we're not going to do that, and because of that, I don't actually have most of the accessories on hand. Going forward, I'd usually put all of the accessories for these figures off in a second tub. However, the Mechagodzilla accessories are still in that box there. So that's why Mechagodzilla does have his Mega Buster sort of attached to his belly there, and I can't talk about that alternate tail or those alternate hands. So I'll just throw a picture of those up on screen now, and we'll talk about some other stuff instead when we talk about the Garuda. But let's stop this turntable, let's take a look at those details, that paint, and that articulation. Alright guys, we'll kick things off with some detail and some paint job stuff. Let's bring Mechagodzilla closer to the camera, and we can really start to appreciate those details here. So once the camera focuses, for such an old figure, Mechagodzilla here actually looks really, really nice. The suit accuracy might not be 100%, but this definitely does look and feel like Mechagodzilla, or as some call it, Mechagodzilla 2, Heisei Mechagodzilla, whatever you want to call it. It looks very, very nice. Now, moving on to the chest here, guys, again, you can see the sculpted sort of pectoral muscles there, and you've got that Mega Buster there. We'll talk about that in a minute. Looking at the shoulders there, just really appreciating that sculpt work, guys. You can see this figure looks absolutely incredible. The details are all there, they're captured very, very nicely, and the paint job across the figure itself is also very, very nice. Mechagodzilla isn't just a flat grey or a flat silver, there is some subtle shading. So looking at the head, looking at the legs and stuff here, guys, you can sort of see it. There's just a little bit of shading sort of on the tops of those thighs there. You've even got just a little bit more shading just sort of here at the base of the tail. You can notice a lot of it really here on this sort of thruster elements, this very sort of 90s looking sort of element on Mechagodzilla here. So it isn't just the flat silver, there is some subtle shading done across the figure in some key areas, like all of these recessed vents and stuff like that. So that's definitely very neat and very cool. In fact, even in the inner joints of Mechagodzilla here, you can see just a very nice gunmetal sort of silver, and that's the same that's been used on that Mega Buster there. Same for on the inside of the legs there, and I believe that's also present just on the back of Mechagodzilla's knees there. I'm not sure how well that's coming up on camera, but that's all the present detail there, different color on those. Now, unfortunately, because of the figure's age, these elements, and I'm pretty sure they're die cast in there, the paint has sort of chipped and it's started to corrode. So I'm not sure if you can tell, but I've actually gone ahead and repainted those just with a very subtle gunmetal color there, just to sort of hide that defect there. But that's just what happens with figures and age, guys. This is a 14 or a 13-year-old figure. It's the second release in the SH Monster Arts line, so it's definitely getting up there in age. But again, just looking at all of those details, absolutely incredible. And even in the paint there, I'm not sure how well it comes up, but there is just a very slight amount of pearlescent sort of color going on there, and that's present on pretty much the entire figure. It looks really, really nice. Now, the die-cast metal in this figure, so in the joints and then in the bottom of the feet here, so the feet of Mechagodzilla are actually fully die-cast. Those look absolutely incredible as well. The die-cast is very, very shiny, as it should be, given it's a metal, but the shading on top of those also looks absolutely incredible. So I think Mechagodzilla, whether you're looking at it from afar, like now, or up close like we just had, he looks very, very nice. And then the only other sort of relevant point that we'll have to talk about are those eyes. So those are done just in a translucent orange there with some nice detailing. You've got the lines and the grids on that. Again, for a 13 to 14-year-old figure, Mechagodzilla looks really, really nice. This one here was the second or third figure. I think it was the third SH Monster Arts figure I ever got. I've had it for a fair amount of time now. I've got a pretty large SH Monster Arts collection, and Mechagodzilla here still remains as one of my favorites. So just looking at it from afar, you can just sort of see. Definitely a very neat, very cool figure. The way the light hits it as well is absolutely incredible, and it looks like Mechagodzilla. It has the aesthetic of the 90s Mechagodzilla. It has the overall shape, it has the overall frame. So let's talk about articulation. So, because Mechagodzilla is one of the older figures in the SH Monster Arts line, the articulation might be a little dated. It's not as refined as some of our newer releases, but it still holds up pretty well. You've got a full 360 at the head there. In fact, there's almost sort of 2 or 3 joints that sort of work together there. You've got some swivel movement and some ab crunch in the waist there. That's sort of hindered because of the Mega Buster effect there, and that's the same if you have the standard belly attached as well. In the shoulders, you got a limited ball joint. You've got a double hinge at the elbow. You've got a full 360 at that hand. In the hips there, you get a pretty good pivot. I mean, as you can see, Mechagodzilla can sort of spread his legs pretty far. Balance-wise, it's not the best, but anyway. You also have a very nice double jointed bend in the knee. You've got a tiny bit of movement in the base of the ankle there, but most of your movement is coming from that hinge at the foot. And again, that is die cast. That really does hold Mechagodzilla down. Nothing in the tail, and then the mouth opens and closes. So again, not the best articulated figure, but the Heisei Mechagodzilla wasn't the most mobile character around anyway. Let's talk about accessories quickly. This is what Mechagodzilla looks like when you roughly line up that beam. I think that looks very neat, definitely very cool. However, Mechagodzilla is definitely missing some heavy firepower. Let's correct that. Let's bring in the Garuda. Now, although I don't have the box for Mechagodzilla, I do have the box for the Garuda. And as you can see, that is a very nice, shiny sort of chrome color there. You've got a cool picture of Mechagodzilla on the back there, a cool little emblem. Just some very nice overall premium feeling sort of product and box on this one. Now, this was a Tamashii web shop exclusive. In fact, as you can see, it almost looks like a little bit of a briefcase there. That's very cool. So let's open that up, moving that to the side and moving our paper to the side. This is the tray you've got here. You get the Garuda, you get a couple of beam effects for Mechagodzilla here, you get a stand, you get those shock anchors, you get some alternate sort of back pieces there just to attach the Garuda to Mechagodzilla, and a very nice, very cool stand for the Garuda. So let's open up the Garuda, take a closer look at it, and then we'll assemble our Super Mechagodzilla. Just like Mechagodzilla itself, the Garuda here is very well detailed. As you can see, there's lots of just little grooves and crevices on this thing. The paint job on this is also really nice. You have the base silver there for those thrusters. You've got the white for the main sort of, I guess, space shuttle like engine-y bit there. I mean, you've got the cockpit as well. That's been very nicely detailed, very nicely painted. Let's bring that up to the camera there. We'll focus in on that. You can see all those little panel lines and just all of those little attention to detail-y bits there as well, guys. Camera with focus, that would be fantastic. You can see a lot of just sort of subtle paint shading on those bits there. You've got the G-Force logo there. That looks very nice, very cool. Well, just lots of overall different colors and paints going on here, guys. You've got lots of whites, lots of grays, lots of silvers, lots of gunmetals. It all looks very cool. Even some shading on the barrels there. That is absolutely incredible. And just looking at those wings, guys. Again, look at all of that panel line detail. The detail is just immaculate on this thing. Turning that around, you've got those 4 thrusters with those orange translucent bits in the center there that match Mechagodzilla's eyes. And then turning the thing upside down, you can just see no part of this was left undetailed. Now, let's attach this to Mechagodzilla. And for our quick comparison, guys, here we have the SH Monster Arts 1993 Mechagodzilla compared next to the previous SH Monster Arts figure we looked at, the SH Monster Arts 1994 Godzilla. And a little bit of a spoiler alert, the next SH Monster Arts we're going to take a look at, that is the SH Monster Arts Space Godzilla. And here we have the completed Super Mechagodzilla. And as you can see, guys, this looks absolutely incredible. You definitely get the full figure feel if you have both elements here, the SH Monster Arts Mechagodzilla and that Garuda set. Now, let's take some of those accessories from the Garuda and attach them to Mechagodzilla to have an ultimate SH Monster Arts Mechagodzilla display. Alright guys, so as you can see, I've attached those two blue beams to the end of the Garuda's guns or rail guns, mazes, whatever they're called there. That looks very, very cool. However, we can actually go a little further with Mechagodzilla. So as you saw, you do get these shock anchor cables here. Now these I've actually kept unopened, but we're going to open them now. Why not? I mean, you buy a figure to display it and for it to look cool. There's no point keeping these completely in their plastic seal. I'm the only one that's going to have this figure anyway. I don't plan on selling it ever. So we'll get those out. There's one, there's two. So as you can see, you've got the tips of those shock anchors. There we go. Detail on those is very nice. This is going to shake and I'm not really going to be able to show you guys too well. But those just attach into Mechagodzilla's forearms here. So just plugging one of those in. Alrighty, there we have it, guys. That's what Mechagodzilla looks like with those two shock anchors. However, again, we can go even further. So if we bring in that beam part from Mechagodzilla, I'm not too sure how well I can get Mechagodzilla to sort of stand here, but if we actually line that up relative to that Mega Buster, there we have it, guys. This is what a Mechagodzilla looks like, pretty much firing on all cylinders, and this is completely achievable if you just get the two sets here. Now again, if you have some other SH Monster Arts figures, you can go even further. So if we actually bring in this piece here, this comes from the SH Monster Arts Mogira. Now this is the belly buster, whatever you call it, for Mogira. Let's put that on Mechagodzilla. We'll have this firing out of that Mega Buster, and I'll try to do something about that atomic sort of other beam there. We'll get that back firing from Mechagodzilla's mouth. So we'll see if we can create just an ultimate Mechagodzilla display. But before we do that, there is one more part I just want to quickly show you guys. That last piece is this, guys, the Battle Damage Mechagodzilla head. This comes from the original release SH Monster Arts Fire Rodan. The only difference between this and the standard is that battle damaged eye there on the right hand side. Now, let's create our Super Mechagodzilla. Here we go, guys. Mechagodzilla going all out, firing on all cylinders. Absolutely incredible, guys. You can definitely see why Godzilla would have such a tough time with this particular Mechagodzilla. And with that, I think we've covered pretty much everything here, guys. We've talked about paint, we've talked about detail, we've looked at Garuda, we've looked at Mechagodzilla, we've even done some size comparisons. I've been Darkaiju Down Under, and I'll catch yous all in the next video.